Hi, this is Dave Littman with Truth in IT, bringing you another edition of our frequently unasked questions. And today we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to have a whiteboard presentation, and I'm joined by George Pollard, the Technical Account Manager for Databarracks. George, welcome.
Hi there.
So, George, today we are going to talk about disaster recovery as a service.
Yes, we are.
Okay, and that's a service that you guys provide. It's a managed service, and it's mostly, at least what we're going to talk about today, is hypervisor-based replication.
Yeah, that's correct. Disaster recovery as a service is something that Databarracks offers, and hypervisor-based replication is kind of a hot topic and a bit of a new technology on the market.
Okay, all right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a whiteboard, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. Maybe we hope a whiteboard is worth 1,000 pictures, and it'll help illustrate it for our audience. So I'm going to hit the go button here, and I'll let you talk through it.
Excellent. Okay, so hypervisor technologies are most commonplace with VMware and Hyper-V. This is where you're able to run multiple VMs on the same sort of infrastructure. Again, your virtual machines consist of your operating systems and your applications, and they sit on your hardware and your environment. And underneath that, you've got the storage. The storage is where you've got all the servers located. And this is your sort of traditional private cloud setup within your own organization and infrastructure. And infrastructure as a service platform or cloud platforms are very similar in design. They use the same sort of Hyper-V technologies and VMware technologies for your hypervisors. And inside of here you have, again, your VMs with your applications and OSs all installed upon them.
So let me ask you, George, when it comes time, because there's multiple customers on a single infrastructure, is the data as well as the performance and the policies all separate?
Yep. So each customer has their own virtual data center as such, which means that everything is logically separated. So this means we're not letting customers see each other's data. No one can view each other's infrastructure, and it basically makes sure it's nice and secure in your environment.
Okay, and they can have different policies to govern, like data protection or other policies individually?
Yep, so the cloud platform we offer is governed by some of the sort of standard ISO regulations and PCI compliance, and they're the sort of standards we keep across the whole platform. But customers can have their own security requirements, they have their own firewalls, and everything can be unique down to them. So essentially it's their infrastructure but hosted on a cloud platform.
Okay. So the last thing that got drawn in there, George, was the replication. Take us through that a little bit.
Sure thing. So what we can see here is a data center with multiple customers hosted on it. Again, you've got that same Hyper-V VMware and technology, all sitting on infrastructure. And then again, you've got the storage sitting at the bottom. The storage, along with the virtual machines, is all logically separated, and there's no bleeding of data between the environments. What you can see is the replication is set at the hypervisor level. So this is where the application or the appliance is going to be looking at the hypervisor from the customer side and taking all the changes that hypervisor is committing to both the storage and to the operating system, and it's going to be mirroring that over to the data center or to the cloud platform. Once it mirrors it over to the cloud platform, it's storing that data securely inside of the virtual data center of either customer 1 or, say, customer 2, and neither of those customers can see each other's replicated data.
Okay. Okay, a couple quick questions for you, George. The first thing that strikes me is at the virtual machine layer. Are we talking about VMware only or Hyper-V? Is that supported, or other virtual machine platforms?
Sure. So currently, VMware is the predominant application or virtualized environment that supports hypervisor-based replication, but it won't surprise me that Hyper-V will follow shortly.
Okay. All right. And the second question I have is in terms of the replication. So certainly I understand that I want to replicate all my data to you guys, so you have a copy of it. But when it comes time to replicating back, if I'm in a disaster situation, maybe it's not an entire disaster, maybe it's only a partial disaster. I mean, can I recover down to a granular level, or do I have to recover everything wholesale?
That's a really good question. You can recover wholesale, as we would expect. You want your own environment back, but actually you can also recover on a granular level. So if you only really want to bring back a couple of VMs just to get your environment started again, then sure, you can replicate that back. And that's both for replicating everything to us. That's brilliant. That's what we want you to do, is have your infrastructure protected securely on our disaster recovery as a service platform. But if you only need to replicate or take a couple of virtual machines from your environment and replicate that over to us, that's absolutely fine. The replication is granular, and you don't necessarily have to do everything wholesale.
Okay. This must make disaster recovery testing pretty painless.
It really does. Even the technologies being used now have basically understood that compliance requires you to have sort of regular DR tests, and the technology now can report on that for you, so it can show you how long it took to replicate your environment, if there is any issues, errors, and this can all be nicely presented and correlated in a sort of a document that you can present to your continuity sort of plans inside of the business.
Okay. Well, George, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. I think the drawing really helped illustrate the concept. So thank you very much for bringing it along today.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. So, hey, everyone. Again, we've been speaking with George Pollard, the Technical Account Manager of Databarracks, and you've been listening to another edition of our Frequently Unasked Questions. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to check out our other videos, podcasts, and webinars at truebit.tv. And, of course, our Truth in Backup and Truth in Storage seminars held at a city in the U.S. and UK near you. Thanks again, everyone, for listening, and we want to wish you all a great day.